So let's look now how to start a conversation. It's ironic that most people fear starting conversations the most because they don't think they know what to say, when really the starting of a conversation is the easiest thing in the world. It's really breaking the ice that takes some skillful handling and some insight in order to make it easier than most people make it for themselves. Now, when we look at starting a conversation, there's only one thing, one simple objective that you need to achieve, and that is to get someone's attention. That's it. You do nothing else but get someone's attention, you have started a conversation. Now, once you've started a conversation, you can still stall it if you don't do the right things, especially when it comes to breaking the ice. But the actual starting of conversation is actually really simple. So let's have a look at some of the principles involved in starting a conversation first, and then I'll reveal to you the 5 magical conversation starters that will be guaranteed to start a conversation anytime, any place, anywhere, with anyone. So the first principle I want to look at is the 90-10 rule. The reason that most conversations stall, especially new conversations stall right at the start, is because people misunderstand the conversational ratios. You've got to bear this in mind. When you start talking to someone new, especially someone you don't know yet, they're going to be just as cold inside their heads as you were before you psych yourself up, making yourself ready to start that conversation. So they don't feel their conversational muscle any more warmed up than yours is. So when we start a conversation, they feel like, well, I don't know what to say either. I feel kind of awkward. It's not that they're awkward, it's just that the neurology hasn't fired up yet. It's like an athlete saying, okay, now sprint, way before you've even had a chance to warm yourself up. So you've got to give them a chance to warm up. How do you do that? Well, you have to carry the conversation. Be prepared in the first 5 or so minutes to carry the conversation by providing 90 to even sometimes 100% of all the content until they get warmed up a little bit. How do you do that? Well, the rule is very simple. Just keep talking. Just keep talking for the both of you. From time to time, you can throw a little question out there, but it's still a rhetorical question. We'll have a look at questions themselves later on in one of these sections. But what you want to do is get them involved in such a way that they don't feel threatened by it. They don't have it suddenly to give you this philosophical discussion about life, the universe, and everything, because their minds aren't ready for it yet. And until the mind is ready for it, all you need to do is keep talking, and keep talking in a reasonably animated way. Remember, we talked about the foundations or the performance skill, is that you create a good vibe, which means your voice has to have enthusiasm in it. It's got to have a bit of life to it. So if you need to have a bit of life in your voice and your topics are reasonably interesting, and we'll talk about some themes for topics in a moment, well, then you can keep talking ad infinitum, and you won't bore anyone. In fact, you'll be doing them a favor because it gives their neurology a chance to warm up. Think of it this way. If I ask you to tell a joke, unless you are one of those rare people who is always ready with a joke on their lips, most people will find it really difficult to come up with a joke off the cuff. But what happens when all your friends start telling jokes? Well, your brain warms up as well, doesn't it? And suddenly, all these jokes start coming back to mind. You tell your own jokes, and they're usually pretty funny as well. So, if you have to warm up your mind to tell jokes, well, you have to warm up your mind to socially engage anyway. A little less, perhaps, but that still has to happen. So, whilst people are warming up their minds, be prepared to carry the conversation.
To continue with the rest of the training, click the link in the description box to download the rest of the videos for free.